Da nagatsi hinu hlkúnst'as. My Haida name is Fox. Dank echt lagang. I'm happy to see you. Welcome to edition number 12 of Haida Language and Etymology. Today we are going to be talking about some homonyms in Haida myth, particularly what your nose, whales, and tree bark have in common. So this is going to be fun. It's one of my favorite little connections of the environment to people in Haida, and I actually learned this from a friend in Ketchikan, so I'm excited to share it with you guys. So let's just jump right in here. Let's take a look at some Haida words. So, nose. The word for Haida in nose is hlkúnst'as. The end tip of your nose, a snout, or a muzzle, or the beak of a puffin in particular. It can also refer to like one's own nose, dúusaang, and the bridge of your nose is hlkúnst'as, okay, hlkún. To blow your nose is hlkúnst'as, and your whole nose is hlkúnst'as. So, why am I telling you about noses in Haida? Well, it just happens that the word for whale, particularly a sperm whale, is hlkúnst'as hajo, okay? So, why is the word for nose the same as the word for whale? Is there no reason for this, or is there a purpose to it? A whale other than a killer whale is just called coon, okay? Same as your nose. I was talking to a friend about Haida, studying Haida one day, and she mentioned this to me. Did you know that nose and whale are the same word in Haida? And I was like, well, that's odd. Why would that be? And she said to me, it actually has to do with cedar bark. What do you mean? Right? What does cedar bark have to do with a nose and a whale? So let's take a look at cedar bark for a second, all right? Cedar bark in Haida, the cambium of red cedar used for weaving is Giid, okay? And stripping, or Giid, stripping bark off in long strips from the tree at a specific time of year is hlkúnst'as, okay? So, how does this relate to whales? A friend of mine actually told me that they're the same because the time that the whales come around is around about the same time that you need to strip the cedar bark from the tree in order to weave baskets, right? So when you see more of the whales is closer to a time for basket weaving, right? I was also told that the action of stripping the bark, Giid, right, down from the tree makes a similar sound to the blowing of the nose, coon of the whale, right? So at a time when we're stripping bark for baskets, we're also connecting to a similar sound that we're hearing in the environment, right? So we learn from signifiers in the water and on land when is a good time to prepare for subsistence activities. You know, follow your nose. Coon is very fascinating to me. So the reason I feel like these kind of homonyms are important is there are linguistic things that connect sounds and ideas in a culture that we might not know about, right? If I'm just a non-native white person that's like, I want to learn about this language or about the history of these people, right? Something like that, how nose and whale are connected is not accessible to me, right? And it might not be accessible to other native people because there has been a lot of acculturation. Not everybody has the same information. Not everybody has access to the same information. So I heard that. I thought it was fascinating and remarkable, and I just want to share it with you. And if you guys have any thoughts, let me know. But yeah, so coon and coon, they are related through sounds, right? And the way we perceive sounds in different languages might be different, like the way you mimic a sound might be different in another language. And then you have like words connected etymologically that we don't necessarily have records of these connections. We should keep as much of this information as we can. So rather than go on forever about that, I'm going to go over some sentences that talk about subsistence and preparing for subsistence that I have come across, yet again, in the dictionary and in the Phrasebook. And I'll group them together here so they'll be a little bit more relatable for you. So here we go. Our first sentence here is Giid, áayaad, dúusaang. I'll get some bark for weaving today. Giid, áayaad, dúusaang. Then we have hlkúnst'as Giid east hlkúnst'as. Cedar mats are made out of cedar bark too. hlkúnst'as Giid east hlkúnst'as. Following that, we have Giid hlkúnst'as. She used to use cedar bark. Giid hlkúnst'as. And talang hidangang. Talang hidangang. We stripped bark. So, this is a really good example of how when languages are lost, we lose cultural meaning. These are not practices that everybody has the luxury to practice all of the time. A lot of Native people today have to do other things and cannot engage in subsistence the way that they would like to. And it's important to keep these phrases and, share them, and for people to understand the depth of ecological knowledge and how these practices make a culture, right? When we lose language, we lose culture. So, I cannot put it better than a Native person. So I have a book which I have been reading recently. I'm going to share it in the description below. It's called Braiding Sweetgrass, and there's an excellent quote about the loss of language, which I would like to share with you in that book. An elder says, "It's not just the words that will be lost. The language is the heart of our culture. It holds our thoughts, our way of seeing the world. It's too beautiful for English to explain." And that's the best way of putting it. You cannot just take these complex ideas from another language and pull them apart and translate them to English and act like it's the same. Some essential quality is lost. It is the relationship between nose and whale that is not going to translate. And that's why it's important. It's important to me. It's important to everyone that we maintain all of the perspectives on what it means to be human that we can. And that means retaining endangered languages. So that's what I got for you today. That's my preaching for today. So next time, we're going to do one more homonyms and folklore. I want to talk about mythological vocabulary and some spooky stuff. So hang in there and don't forget to hit subscribe and ring the bell. And house dank king song. The managan kingo.